Confidence isn't something you wait for. It's something you build, brick by brick, win by win. And today, I want to show you how the smallest achievements can transform your entire life. Most people think confidence comes from big breakthroughs, but the truth is, it grows from simple disciplines repeated daily. Stay with me until the end, because the final point will show you how to multiply your confidence far beyond what you believe is possible right now. Let's begin, and let's build the version of you that no setback can shake. 1. Start small. People often wait for the perfect moment to begin, but success doesn't ask for perfection, it asks for movement. The illusion of the right time has delayed more dreams than failure ever has. We imagine that one day we will wake up with the perfect energy, the perfect plan, the perfect amount of money, the perfect mindset, but that day rarely comes. Waiting for a perfect beginning is like waiting for the wind to carry you across the ocean. You will wait forever. The great truth is that every achievement, every transformation, every reinvention begins with something small, something almost invisible, something so modest that others might overlook it entirely. And that is precisely the beauty of starting small. It removes fear. When you reduce a dream into the smallest possible step, it becomes manageable, it becomes approachable, it becomes real. You don't need to lift the entire world. Just lift what you can handle today. This is why Jim Rohn always said, success is a few simple disciplines practiced every day. He wasn't talking about dramatic leaps or heroic bursts of effort. He was talking about consistency, the gentle, firm, non-negotiable rhythm of showing up daily. One page read, one decision improved, one habit strengthened, one step taken. These are the bricks that build the mansion of success. Starting small gives you something else that is almost magical. It gives you momentum. And momentum, my friends, is the engine of confidence. Once you start moving, no matter how slowly, you begin to feel alive again. You begin to feel capable again. You begin to feel in control again. The human mind is wired to reward movement, not perfection. Progress, even micro-progress, creates emotional energy. It builds a sense of identity that whispers, I can do this. Most people fail not because the dream is too big, but because they never start. They stare at the top of the mountain and forget that every mountain is climbed by placing one foot in front of the other again and again. Starting small is not a sign of weakness, it is a sign of wisdom. It says, I am willing to begin, and beginning is the rarest and most powerful act in the world. The person who starts, even imperfectly, will always outperform the person who waits endlessly for ideal conditions. Think of nature. A massive tree begins as a tiny seed. A river begins as a few drops. A storm begins as a small shift in the wind. Greatness hides inside small beginnings. Even masters, experts, and legends once stood where you stand now, at the beginning unsure, inexperienced, but willing. And the willingness to begin small is what separates dreamers from achievers. The moment you take your first step, you prove to yourself that you are not helpless. You prove that the future is not fixed. You prove that your life is still yours to shape. Remember, small beginnings create big endings. So start today. Not with perfection, not with confidence, not with clarity, but with willingness. Plant the seed. Take the step. Do the tiny thing. Success will meet you later, but movement must come now. 2. Keep promises to yourself. The fastest way to lose confidence is to break your word to yourself, and the fastest way to build confidence is to keep it. Most people think confidence comes from results, but that is only half the story. Confidence first comes from trust, the trust you build with yourself. When you say you'll wake up early, do it. When you say you'll work out, do it. When you say you'll study, do it. These simple actions may seem insignificant, but they form the blueprint of your self-esteem. Every time you keep a promise, you cast a vote for the kind of person you are becoming. Every time you break a promise, you teach your mind that your words cannot be trusted. Imagine having a friend who constantly makes promises, constantly breaks them, and constantly offers excuses. You wouldn't rely on that friend. Now imagine your mind watching you behave the same way. That is why breaking your own commitments feels so heavy. It doesn't just hurt your progress, it hurts your identity. Jim Rohn taught that discipline is the foundation of self-respect, and self-respect is the foundation of confidence. You cannot lead a life of greatness while abandoning your own commitments. You cannot expect to feel powerful when you continually show yourself that your words mean nothing. But here is the good news. The same mechanism that destroys confidence can also create unstoppable confidence. Every promise kept is a win. Every commitment honored is evidence that you control your life. Every act of discipline is a message to your future self saying, "You can rely on me." Keeping promises to yourself is not about perfection, it is about integrity. It is about building an inner environment where your word is law. When you say you will do something and you follow through even when it's inconvenient, uncomfortable, or unexciting, you build internal strength. You sharpen your willpower. You shape your character. You become the kind of person who can be trusted with bigger goals. Confidence blooms when your behavior aligns with your intentions. This is why people who live with discipline move differently. They speak with certainty, act with purpose, and carry a quiet power that cannot be faked. And here is a truth many people overlook. Keeping your promises doesn't just build confidence, it builds freedom. When your mind knows you will do what you say, you no longer waste energy negotiating with yourself. You simply act, you execute, you follow through. Discipline becomes your default, not your struggle. And with discipline comes results, not chaotic, unstable results, but steady, compounding, undeniable growth. Most people abandon their dreams not because they lack talent, but because they lack trust in themselves. They say they will do something and then fail to follow through, and after months or years of this pattern, they stop believing they can change. But change begins the moment you keep one promise. Just one. One small promise that you honor no matter what. That single act becomes the seed of a new identity. And once you begin proving yourself to yourself, you become unstoppable. Remember this. Greatness is not built on big declarations. It is built on small, consistent acts of integrity. Keep your word. Keep your commitments. Keep your inner contracts. This is how you build a life of confidence, one promise at a time. 3. Track wins. Achievement becomes power only when you recognize it. Most people forget their wins not because they are insignificant, but because they never write them down. They let victories drift away like leaves in the wind, leaving their minds to focus only on failures, mistakes, and shortcomings. But when you track your victories, big or small, you build a concrete record of progress. You create proof that you are changing, growing, and becoming stronger. Confidence grows when you can look back and say, "I did that." One of the greatest tragedies in personal growth is that people underestimate themselves simply because they don't document their journey. They forget how far they've come. They forget the battles they've already won. They forget the skills they've developed, the habits they've created, the courage they've shown. Without written evidence, the mind defaults to negativity. It highlights every flaw and minimizes every success. Jim Rohn used to say, "Don't trust your memory, trust your notes." The mind is emotional, inconsistent, and selective. Your notes are objective, grounded, and permanent. When you write down your wins, you turn fleeting moments into lasting fuel. You create a reservoir of encouragement you can return to on days when motivation is low. Tracking your wins does something even more powerful. It trains your brain to notice progress. Most people only see what they lack. But when you train your mind to look for victories, you learn to appreciate your growth instead of judging your distance from the goal. This shift in focus can transform your entire self-image. You begin to see yourself as capable, improving, and worthy of success. You begin to act like someone who wins because you repeatedly show yourself evidence that you do. Write down daily successes. Yes, daily. The task you completed, the temptation you overcame, the courage you showed, the habit you reinforced, the boundary you protected, the step you took even when you didn't feel like it. These are not small things. These are victories, and they compound. People think confidence comes from big moments, awards, achievements, promotions, but real confidence comes from daily accumulated proof that you are moving forward. And when you track wins consistently, your journal becomes a mirror that reflects your true potential instead of your limiting beliefs. It becomes a tool of accountability and encouragement. It becomes a blueprint of who you are becoming. On difficult days, you can flip back through your pages and say, "Here is my proof. I'm not failing. I'm progressing." Tracking your wins also reveals patterns: what motivates you, what drains you, what works, what doesn't. These insights give you strategic clarity. They help you grow faster because you no longer operate blindly. You operate with awareness, and awareness is power. Understand this. The act of writing your wins is not just about memory, it is about identity. You are teaching your mind day after day, "I am someone who succeeds. I am someone who improves. I am someone who follows through." Over time, this identity becomes unshakable. Confidence becomes natural. Belief becomes inevitable, and success becomes predictable. Don't leave your victories to be forgotten. Capture them, document them, celebrate them. Tracking your wins turns your journey into evidence, and evidence is fuel for belief. 4. Celebrate progress. Most people wait for the finish line to celebrate, but the wise celebrate every step, and not because the journey is easy, but because the journey is worthy. Progress is not an accident, it is the visible proof of invisible effort. Every improvement, every shift in discipline, every moment you resisted an old habit in favor of a better one is a victory that deserves recognition. When you pause and honor your growth, you reinforce the identity that produced it. You tell your mind, "This is who I am now." And identity, more than motivation, is what keeps you moving. Celebration is not arrogance, it is appreciation. Appreciation for the hours you invested when no one was watching. Appreciation for the discipline you summoned on days when your energy was low. Appreciation for the moments you chose the difficult path because your vision mattered more than your comfort. As Jim Rohn said, "What you appreciate appreciates." When you acknowledge progress, you multiply it. You give your spirit momentum. Too many people dismiss their growth because it feels small, but small progress compounds, and compounded progress turns into transformation. When you smile at your improvement, you teach your mind that effort is rewarding. When you feel proud of your persistence, you teach your heart that perseverance is meaningful. When you give yourself credit, you send a message that your work is valuable, that your growth matters, that your journey is worth honoring. Not when you arrive, but as you evolve. Confidence does not grow in silence, it grows in recognition. The more you acknowledge your steps forward, the more your self-belief expands, the more your courage strengthens, the more your inner voice begins to sound like encouragement instead of criticism. The world trains people to downplay their own achievements. It teaches them to stay quiet, to stay humble, to avoid acknowledging their wins as if celebrating themselves is somehow improper. But humility is not the absence of confidence. Humility is the awareness of your limits while continuing to honor your progress. Humility is not pretending you have done nothing. Humility is being grateful for what you have done while remaining committed to what you can still become. Celebrate the morning you woke up earlier than usual. Celebrate the day you stayed focused for a few minutes longer. Celebrate the workout you didn't want to do but completed anyway. Celebrate the moment you spoke kindly to someone even though your mood was difficult. Celebrate the decision to keep going after a setback. These moments feel ordinary, but they are extraordinary because they create momentum. Celebration turns effort into energy. Appreciation turns discipline into strength. When you take time to notice your progress, you train your mind to see wins instead of problems, possibilities instead of limitations, growth instead of stagnation. And a mind trained to recognize progress becomes a mind trained for victory. Do not wait for the grand accomplishment to give yourself permission to feel proud. The person you are becoming deserves acknowledgement now, and the more you honor your growth, the faster you accelerate it. Celebrate your progress, not to inflate your ego, but to fuel your evolution. 5. Expand challenges. Once you've built confidence through small wins, it becomes your responsibility, not merely your option, to expand your challenges. Growth does not emerge from comfort. It emerges from the friction where your current abilities meet your future potential. Confidence is not created by staying where you are already strong. Confidence is created by stepping into areas where you are uncertain, inexperienced, or even afraid. Small wins build the foundation, but expanded challenges build the tower. Once you prove you can take the first step, you must dare yourself to take the next larger one. Attempt what once intimidated you. Seek out the tasks that stretch your mind, strengthen your discipline, and awaken your courage. Do not fear big challenges. They are simply opportunities disguised as responsibilities. They are reminders that you have more inside you than your comfort zone will ever allow you to discover. Jim Rohn taught that growth is the natural reward of discipline. It is not granted randomly nor reserved for the lucky. It is earned by those who willingly take on challenges that force them to rise above their old selves. When you expand your challenges, you expand your capacity. And when you expand your capacity, your confidence naturally evolves with it. The bigger the obstacle you face, the bigger the opportunity for inner expansion. Comfort has never created transformation. Comfort protects your current self. Challenge reveals your future self. And the future version of you, the stronger, wiser, more resilient you, cannot be unlocked without the presence of meaningful, stretching, demanding challenges. Every time you reach further than you think you can, you redefine what you believe is possible. Every time you take on a challenge that makes you uncomfortable, you add a new layer to your character. Every time you confront something that once made you hesitate, you prove to yourself that fear is not a wall, but a doorway. The human spirit grows through confrontation, not confrontation with others, but confrontation with limitations, excuses, doubts, and old identities. When you choose a bigger challenge, you are telling yourself, I am ready for more. And ready or not, you will grow into the challenge you choose. Do not play small with your life simply because small is familiar. Do not underestimate your potential simply because potential feels abstract. Raise your bar. Expand your goals. Attempt more. Reach higher. Believe bigger. The people who achieve extraordinary things did not begin extraordinary. They simply dared to pursue challenges that required them to become extraordinary. Excellence is earned through repeated expansions of effort, discipline, and courage. Every great achievement begins with the willingness to stretch beyond what feels easy. If you want a stronger mind, give it bigger problems to solve. If you want stronger discipline, give yourself tasks that require consistency. If you want stronger courage, face situations that require bravery. You cannot grow by doing what you've always done. Comfort protects your weaknesses. Challenge strengthens your strengths. And the moment you realize that discomfort is a sign of growth, not danger, you become unstoppable. Expand your challenges, and life will expand your rewards. Expand your effort, and life will expand your opportunities. Expand your belief, and life will expand your future. Growth follows challenge the way dawn follows night. It is the natural progression of a spirit in motion. Dare to increase the difficulty of your journey, not to prove something to others, but to reveal the greatness within yourself, waiting to be expressed. Every victory, no matter how small, builds the next level of belief. Keep stacking wins, keep honoring your word, keep rising beyond your limits, and soon, confidence won't be something you search for. It will be something you are.